Now
you're ready.
Now Bonesaw is ready.
Hello, Tom.
Hey, what is happening, Dana?
Not much. I am excited to have another episode of Two Guys Talking Toys,
Talking the toys over here.
as they say on Long Island, talking.
After we like a nice good
And
sip
welcome our loyal listeners and viewers. And I'm eating Reese's peanut butter cups.
Hey, that's good stuff.
And I'm not being rude because I have a bag. I brought enough for everybody.
Everyone, help yourselves. However,
Yes.
I only brought enough coffee for me.
Stingy.
Sorry,
Stingy.
I will not be sharing this.
Hey, did you get anything new?
You know what? I actually just came from Target.
I asked you only because I wanted to put the peanut butter cup in my mouth and wanted the camera to focus on you.
Too late. It's now back on you. Eat up, Batman. No, I just came from Target. Actually, I got up a little bit early, so I did a quick swing by to Ollie's, which has like the old, not old, but they had some of the new. I can't even say new. They had Ultron from the latest wave that he was in. I think it was the giant girl.
A couple of waves ago, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the Cassie Lang one. They had him for $10, which wasn't bad, but I have enough Ultrons. I can't believe I just said that because I love Ultron. You can't have enough Ultrons, but I kind of at max capacity on him.
You have a Voltron behind you, which is cool.
I do. Galactus and his friends are in. They're heading to storage till making some adjustments in the apartment. So they will not be joining us for a little bit. So this may change up. And if next week I have a completely different background or just a fake background, yeah, that'll be why. But so I didn't get anything at Ollie's, so I swung by Target and they had the latest Transformers Legacy version of Gears, so I picked him up. Nice. He costs too much. I missed the 30% off. Bring that back, Target. This might be my last Transformers purchase for quite some time, depending on.
Get to see him? You have him with you?
I do not. He's out in the car. Because I got back and I was like, I got it. We got to record. So I just ran in and I forgot him. However, I do have.
Oh, you have a mystery box. All right,
I do have a mystery box.
That means I can put another peanut butter cup in my mouth.
Enjoy, my friend. Enjoy the collaboration when Sir Reese's crashed into Mrs. Cups, I guess. Whoever the peanut butter part of that equation was, and then they came together in a terrible yet beautiful reunion of peanut butter and chocolate.
I used to like those commercials when people would accidentally drop someone's chocolate and someone's peanut butter and they'd get upset and then realize there's two great tastes that taste great together.
You know, it was a commercial because that wasn't happening in the workplace. Like, that would just turn into a fight and you'd both wind up in HR. And then she'd be like, what is the problem? He dropped his chocolate in my peanut butter. He got his peanut butter all in my chocolate. Jerk, you're a jerk. And it just goes on from there. So this is... Right. It's hard to tell. This is Lady Death. And I forgot that I ordered.
Girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ordered her for Scareglow to hang around with.
Yeah, I ordered her a while ago, and now it can't even work out because Scareglow is also in storage. So
we dubbed you the toy matchmaker.
Yeah, what? I am losing my touch. Sorry, Scareglow. I mean, there's no guarantee that Lady Death would even be interested in Scareglow, but
that's the way it goes.
The glow in the dark.
The ladies show up after you've already made your pitch and then had to move on because they denied you.
You wander off. I mean, she'd been interested in Scareglow for a long time. He just didn't pick up on the signs.
Right. Yeah, so that's the glow in the dark one, right? That's
yes,
what
this is the glow in the dark version of Lady Death. There is a same company, Coffin Comics, is making. Oh, what's her name? La Muerta, I believe. She has the whole like. Yeah, she has like the whole like Day of the Dead kind of makeup going on. So she's got like the skull paint, and her outfit is almost like the not Mr. Goodbody because that guy was creepy. Hers is more like the skeleton look from the Karate Kid. But wow, yeah, there's a throwback. If anyone remembers Mr. Goodbody, I am sorry for bringing that back into your mind. What a horror show. But if they ever made a glow in the dark version of that La Muerta, I'm on board, and she can hang out with glow in the dark Lady Death, and they can pie face scare glow because he'll want to hang out, but like they're doing stuff, so they need their them time.
Right. Yeah. The girls' night out.
So how about you? Have you gotten anything new?
I did. I just picked up in Target. I found on sale these little cars. We got the Hollywood Ride Christine
Hey,
Machine.
where is our Transformers crossover with the Scooby Doo gang? You get one dog Transformer and then the mystery van Transformer. They've already got a
Right.
bunch of vans they could turn into it. They just
Right.
repaint
And
Ironhide into the mystery van.
but they did do the Ecto One, which I picked up as well.
Yes, that one is great. That is awesome. And
Yeah, yeah, it's on sale, so I picked those. You know, they're fun to have on the desk to mess around with
yeah.
when you're on a Zoom meeting like this one. So I'll be just go.
While we're discussing, I'll be like, "What do you think, Dana?"
I'll be
Dana?
like,
Two guys having a play date with toys.
right, right. Yeah, so that's all I picked up this week because they were on sale and they're pretty cool.
Nice, that's a good haul.
Yeah, so you know, this week I don't know who makes this. Is this a Ford? Is this a Chevy? I don't know.
Oh,
I want to talk about American-made cars. No, you know, 4th of July just passed.
Mhm.
You know, we've both gotten really sloppy with these transitions in our introduction, but because 4th of July weekend is upon us, I thought maybe we should talk about toys and characters that represent in the best way, and then maybe at the end, not the best way.
Mhm. Mhm.
Our
There's both
beloved toy
sides.
there
There's
are both sides, yeah. And you know, as much as I hesitate to use the word patriot these days,
Mhm.
we'll kind of go that way. And
Mhm.
and I have more on that later. But you know, firstly, I want to talk. You know, obviously, the first one that jumps into your head is the DC Direct Uncle Sam figure, right?
Oh, very much so. I actually have him.
Was like
I
2012, 13, somewhere in there he came out?
Yeah, he came out. I believe. It was when Matty Collector was still around, and they
Mm,
were trying to keep because I think DC Universe was ending, and they were trying to keep kind of trying to keep the line going. So they had come up with the subscription service, which to its credit, it did get a lot of flack at the time because you're buying into a subscription. They tease you with the the kind of the A-list characters that people really wanted, but they're also going to pad that with characters that maybe only 30% of the fandom wanted, but still,
right.
you really want that. So I remember there was a lot of a lot of griping, a lot of like teeth grinding over, oh, we gotta pay whatever amount to get the subscription, and they had this thermometer on their webpage to show where they were as far as like
I
the number of
like it. Old
subscriptions they
school
had.
fundraising style. I
Yeah,
like it.
and people hated it, and it wasn't updated very often. So there was communication was what it was. It
Right.
was when we had just kind of started to get more fan interaction between, and at the time this was when Toy Guru was very much involved in the kind of the setup and the marketing and talking to the fans and whatnot. So you had somewhat contentious back and forth. But Uncle Sam was part of that DC Universe continuation subscription service. But that also gave us,
Right.
you got Uncle Sam, which maybe not everyone was excited about, but we also got Connor Kent. We got Doomsday, both versions of Doomsday, because that was one of the big incentives.
Doomsday is not a patriot. I just want to
Now,
go on record
he
for that.
very much is not. Well, I guess he is for Krypton. Technically,
Right.
he's the embodiment of Krypton, whether
Yeah,
they like it or not.
right. You know what's funny? You know, the Uncle Sam character in in comics was literally propaganda, you know.
I'm
But
actually not familiar with the character. Like I have the figure, but I don't actually know much about him. I know he's part of a team, but outside of
right,
that,
yeah,
not
yeah,
too
they
much.
developed him into a team, but originally it was just wartime propaganda, and but so many cool characters started out that way. I mean,
Mhm.
Captain America, when he first came out, and of
Yes,
course we'll
very
talk
much
about
so.
Captain America next.
And just as a quick
Captain America
PSA,
was a
just
propaganda.
just as a quick PSA for everybody, it is okay to punch a Nazi. Just putting that out there.
Right.
If you see one and you punch him, you're doing God's work.
Yeah, just punch a Nazi. Um, well, I mean, what was it, Captain America when number one was
Yeah.
punching out Hitler? I mean,
Yep.
it was cool, but it's
Timeless.
propaganda. Yeah,
Timeless
and
classic.
that was what, 1940,
Hmm.
right? And then, we went through the, couple of world wars, and
See, that's
Captain America was our guy.
yeah, and I'm glad you bring up. And granted, he kind of is like him and Uncle Sam. Like that's what you picture, made in the USA, super patriot, the whole nine.
Right.
But I like that he has remained relevant. Like that's your go-to. That's your go-to figure. He's in every line. If you're making a
Yeah.
Marvel wave, or if you're a company and you've acquired the Marvel license, one of the first people you're going to make is Captain America, which I'm a little surprised that Toy Biz didn't do from the jump. Or did they? Was Captain America in the first wave?
He was in the first wave of the Secret Wars. Captain America, when they
Mhm.
first did just the Marvel superheroes, Captain
Yeah.
America was first.
Okay.
And
Because
he
yeah, because
and he
that's
was he was beefy. He was bigger than
mhm.
the other guys.
Yeah, and that's kind of how he should be. And I've always liked that there has been, because he has been depicted in different ways in the comics. So I like that you have a lot of toy possibilities with that character. You have, a lot of times you have just the standard smooth painted on costume. Some of the more recent ones, I think the more like the kind of like the Ultimate Captain America had the more of the actual scale armor, a lot more of
That's
the
like sort
chainmail
of
kind of.
scaled chainmail
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah, I like that look.
and I like
That
to get
classic.
into, yeah, and I even liked the way that the movies updated the character.
Yes,
Made kept the general look, but made him a little bit more tactical, and that actually transferred pretty well into the toy versions of him. So
absolutely.
he might be one of those few exceptions, right? I do have a movie version of Captain America from Marvel Legends that I actually like and keep with. He's not standing with the other comic characters, but he is there on the shelf because he looks
Right.
really good.
Yeah, and the character in and of itself that he was, um, it speaks to the history of the US, right? He
Hmm.
was he was frail and wanted to be something bigger and be
Hmm.
part of a bigger picture.
Yeah.
Just like our feeble little 13 colonies never thought they would fight against the empire that was, the British rule.
Hmm.
But they found a way to do it. Now they didn't take, government sanctioned steroids to do it, but they turned to guerrilla warfare. But Captain America's story and the irony of the fact that he was the bane of the Nazis and
Hmm.
he was the perfect human being because of the serum and he
Yeah.
had blonde hair, blue eyes was just
Hitler was so jealous.
yeah.
So I guess on the flip side of Captain America, well, maybe not completely, but in a different lane from him, question: is the Punisher like would you consider that a patriotic character, a patriotic toy? Like, would you stand him next to Captain America? Because I mean,
I don't
he's
think
he's
I
taking
would.
out bad guys. He'd
Right.
kill Hitler in a second, but he's also, kind of a murderer.
I
So
love that.
where do you
I
place him?
I love that the Punisher is, he's trouble. But you know what I mean? But he
I,
was a military guy. He was a war
mhm,
hero. And then in civilian life,
mhm.
something bad happened. So he then took the training and became a vigilante. But he doesn't do that in the name of the United States.
Yes.
He does
I,
that because he could kick butt really well, and that he can thank the US for, but he
Captain.
doesn't do it in the name of US. But, that flip side of it, which
Mhm,
I hope we get a chance to talk about later,
mhm,
other characters are
mhm.
still doing those kind of things, but
Yeah.
claiming to do it in the name of the US. So
Yes.
we'll have to speak about some of those guys. But we can't
So
talk now that we've talked about Uncle Sam and Captain America, of course, are the ones that leap ahead. I can't let Patriots go without talking about a real American hero.
you mean the Patriot, the man with wearing the USA mask who came out and had a feud with Bret Hart?
No,
We're
I
really gonna
don't.
we're really gonna do this, aren't we? we're really we're really bringing him up. We
No,
have to. We have to. It's a thing. It's what he's branded as. Am I correct in presuming you're speaking about the one and only Hulk Hogan?
no, I wasn't. I was talking about
Really?
G.I. Joe, a real American hero.
That's even better.
Hey, if you want to talk about Hulk Hogan, we'll talk about
Oh,
Hulk Hogan. But
I do not. Let's
you were thinking of a real American.
great song. What a
from
great
Rick
song.
Derringer.
What a great song. What a garbage person. It's such a shame.
You know we're gonna upset Dale.
I'm sorry. No, I get it. If you were a Hulkamaniac, I totally get it. I can't stand the guy. And but I was weird as a kid. I always liked the bad guys. I was never big
Right.
into the, all my buddies were Hulkamaniacs, and I just wanted him to get
I,
defeated by the Undertaker.
I'm just sad that I said a real American hero, and you're a toy guy, and you went to Hulk Hogan and
Well,
not
you know what?
GI Joe.
In my defense, I was not a big GI Joe guy. And I wanted to bring this back up because I completely forgot last time. So our whole discussion about Destro
Oh
and
Lord,
how
he's Scottish. He's Scottish.
now I went back and I looked because I thought, why aside from the very, very obvious facial features and the very deep Barry White voice, why did I assume that he was black? And I will tell you why. Because you did point out that he was wearing the V-neck, which very much showed off his chest. Looking at the old cartoons and looking at old artwork of him, that is extremely orange. So my thought at like first glance was just that he was wearing an orange shirt, which completely fit in with the general. This was his look. Yeah, he's got the colors that Clyde. Who's going to tell him he can't wear an orange shirt under that? Nobody. That's who. Because he's Destro.
Right. Maybe the Baroness.
She might. Yeah, when they were engaging in
She's like a red collar with an orange shirt. Not gonna go.
Yeah, he had to work that out. But that is why my register of that was that it was a shirt and not his actual skin.
Okay, fair enough.
It's not the best excuse, but that is what was happening in my mind when I saw Destro. No, G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe. Yes. When we were kids, like, we were taught that, you celebrate our military. My grandfather was in the military. My father was in the military. I don't know if your folks were in the military. Do you have military background in your family?
Yes. My dad served. My brother served. But yeah, so there's some of that.
So, G.I. Joe, when those people, like my grandfather was still alive, and he loved that we played with G.I. Joe figures. And I remember sitting down with my dad, because when you get the file cards and it would say someone was an E5 or an E7 or this, you get their rank. And I didn't know what that meant. And he explained to me who were sergeants, who were this and who were that based on those ranks given on the file card. So it was one of those just cool moments where we got to hear about some real military stuff applied to, our stores. And, they're the real American hero. And, Colonel Flag led them, and there are so many characters with Flag, Agent Flag, Flag this, Flag that.
Yeah,
but,
it is very
Colonel Flag will always be the one for me.
It is very cool when you have a grown up. As a kid, you played maybe like sports with your parents or but your action figure play, usually there's a little bit of a disparity, or they'll humor you for a little bit. But it's very cool to know that when you were playing with G.I. Joe, your grandfather could actually take part, and even if he wasn't on the ground crash bang booming, he could give you some background on it, and say, hey, yeah, that guy does this kind of thing. So that's a really cool like interaction between kids in an earlier generation of people.
Right, and I didn't know, it would say they're certified expert in all NATO and Warsaw small weapons. Like I had no idea what that meant.
Yeah.
But my dad would explain to me like what NATO was and what it meant to have a Warsaw weapon as opposed to, and that was cool.
And you were like, tell me about that time you were stranded in Cobra La.
Right. I was like, tell me about Gung Ho. When do I get to meet Gung Ho? She's like, cool guy. Because you don't have biceps like that, Dad, or a tattoo. So just bring me to Gung Ho.
Clearly it's not you.
Right.
Bring me to your buddy.
Who was the first, did you have patriotic, because you weren't really into G.I. Joe, so did you have any patriotic toys?
Honestly, not really. Like I knew, I guess the closest maybe, and this kind of gets us into that maybe darker vein of the Made in the USA. Right. I did have a Rambo action figure because he came in that large kind of like that large drop off of action figures I got from my aunt. There was a Rambo figure, and I knew that I knew a little bit about him, and I knew of the movies, and I knew that he was a Punisher, but in war. That's kind of the closest I got. Everything else was like Sector's Transformers. He-Man, that kind of stuff. I did have some GI Joes, but I wasn't. And again, I was always more into bad guys, so I guess I'm kind of a traitor because I
Right.
was
You're
always much more.
treasonous.
Yeah, I
On a
guess
side
so.
note, did you know I saw that GI Joe was inducted into the Toy Hall of Fame, the
Mhm,
National Toy Hall of Fame, which
mhm.
is in Rochester, New York. We should
Oh,
go. We should go up there.
we should. We should go visit it
Yeah.
and yell Cobra and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm all
Will
for that.
will we be restrained and or escorted out of the building?
When GI Joe first started, they had like Action Man was the Army, Action Pilot was the Air Force, Action
Mhm,
Sailor was
mhm.
the Navy, and then Action Marine was the Marines. And then they added Action Nurse because they had to
Mhm.
get some ladies in there. But
Oh, action
when
nurse.
Action Nurse, yeah, and when that started in 64, 65, whenever it was, um, it was truly from the get go an homage
Mhm.
to our military service in not
Yeah,
such a way. It was just a step up from the little green guys that we've talked about. Like
yeah.
it gave them persona and took each individual character or each individual branch of the military and built their own heroic legacy and
Yeah.
continued to do so in 82 when the 4-inch came out. So,
Mhm,
GI Joe's huge in that. And although it's a real American hero, like we discussed last week, people from all over the world.
mhm.
Um,
So I have another question. Would you consider is Bigfoot and the monster machines, like not the cryptid Bigfoot, but the monster truck. I guess Bigfoot is technically of USA origin, so but he's not out there
well,
waving a
that's not
flag.
fun.
Although
He's out in the Himalayas. His cousin, the Yeti, the abominable snowman. They're all over. They're international. They're incorporated.
the Wendigo not so much, but the yeah, General Bigfoot, but Bigfoot and the monster machines.
Yeah,
Would you consider that? Because I remember when monster truck driving and monster truck, like the big monster truck rallies, which I guess they still have, was
right. Yeah,
huge. But they I remember them capitalizing on it, and there was they actually started making merchandise for it, and this was maybe like the mid to late 80s. And I remember that being
right.
a huge
Yeah,
thing where it was like Bigfoot versus maybe
it
like
was. It was
Gravedigger.
like right. The
You know?
Bigfoot truck
Mhm.
seemed to ride, and there was no real connection, but seemed to ride the on the curtails of Hulk Hogan's rise to being an American, whatever you want to call it, a real
Yeah,
American. And like
yeah,
in that time frame, like because it was during the Cold War, it was the
yeah.
early 80s, right?
Mhm,
America was the good guys, Russian was the bad guy,
mhm.
and so like even Rocky was an American patriot icon. He wore the
Yeah.
colored shorts. Apollo Creed had his thing going on.
Mhm.
So during that time period, a good marketing plan
Yeah.
was to jump onto that national Cold War pride. And
Mhm.
Bigfoot, the truck, had a marketing team that did that very well.
Yeah. And
So
it,
it
and
was real, and not by coincidence, the same time that the 4-inch GI Joe figures rose to legendary status as well.
mhm. Yeah, it kind of came down to who could uh, out patriot the other because I remember Bigfoot being huge, and then maybe like a year or two later, there was another truck called like U.S. Steel or something
Yes,
like that, and I was like, I remember hearing the
had to be
name, and
out
I
of
was
Pittsburgh. He had to be out of Pittsburgh,
hearing the name, and I was like, really? Why don't you just call it like Americans America?
right?
But, but I remember that being, it became like who can out patriot the other, and since we're in the
Everybody was eating American cheese. Cheddar went out the window.
fun fact, I grew up eating sharp cheddar, so I have to
That
this day
explains a lot.
I cannot taste cheddar that is or any like cheeses that are less sharp than sharp cheddar. Just don't register.
That's
Take
why
it off my burger, please.
you have such a sharp tongue.
My cutting wit chops down enemies. This is why I cut a
I
good promo. And speaking of promos, I gotta pull us back into wrestling because that is
oh no,
it's such a for as much as GI Joe is just part of the nomenclature, and it's huge with with kids, and like you said, at the time that it came out, it was everything was super American. We got to push whatever. it was such a staple in wrestling and in the territories. And once
Yeah,
they started marketing, that was huge. And as much as I cannot stand Hulk Hogan, that was the big
right. And
super
yeah, got
American.
Corporal Kirshner.
Yeah, and then you had your Sergeant Slaughter, who had the crossover appeal, which was awesome. Um, and then it was just a matter of like who was. Everyone had kind of like that American Patriot tint, like Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
it was weird. There were
it-
people who didn't like. He was just a a blue collar
mhm,
guy. You
yeah,
picture him working in a steel mill making monster
mhm,
trucks. But um, like there are people who got tagged with that kind of USA that
mhm.
I didn't really understand. There's some of them like Superman.
Oh yeah, I think that has to be more because of the whole faster than a speeding bullet. It's just part of the intro, standing for truth, justice, and the American way, and
Right.
it, and I guess if nothing else, it makes for interesting. I'm glad you brought up Superman, because very much with the whole with the outfit and the well, red, yellow, and blue, but with the whole outfit and
Useless.
yeah, the main 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Uh,
So
having
says
landed
Meatloaf.
having landed in Kansas, the whole he's a well-meaning farm boy, grew up in the heart of America, definitely American, which is
Right.
what makes Red Sun Superman so interesting.
Yeah, I like that story. I love that. You could reflect more on Superman being an emblem of our country and the American way when he's literally an alien.
An
You know,
illegal
that's
alien, which I
yeah,
guess raises the question: Lex Luthor,
right.
patriot? Question mark.
Question mark. Yes, he
or
goes
or
he
xenophobic jerk.
he goes on the list with that I want to talk about later on. We don't have much time, so we're gonna have to get to it soon. But I like that Wonder Woman though has become this sort of emblem of the US because of all the patriots we've spoken about,
Mhm,
they're all men. Now we've got Stargirl and some others,
mhm,
right?
yeah.
But um
Oh, I'm
Wonder
glad you.
Woman
Oh,
Wonder Woman sort of became the Rosie the Riveter
mhm.
of comic books, you
That is
know?
very true. She is part of the Trinity, and even her outfit. Like it's still so
Yep, with
silly
the
to me that people
spangly
were.
shorts and the
Yeah, it's still so silly to me that people got upset when they gave her pants for 5 minutes. But yeah, like the general design
it's
of her
cold,
outfit
man.
is.
It's cold.
I guess since she's a
Plus,
Greek
girl doesn't
goddess, she
want to
doesn't
shave
really
her
need it.
legs every day. Give a girl a
Yeah,
break.
let her have some comfort. Let her be comfortable. But yeah, you're right. The general way that she looks, the adventures that she goes on, her
Because
being
she had
paired to
that
Superman
secret agent
constantly.
thing going on. So even
Yes.
in the TV show, Linda Carter was,
Hmm.
and Diana Prince was a secret agent kind of
Yeah.
person for a little while there. So
So let's get into, since we're not at the end, but we are at the in the
yeah,
final 10. Let's talk about, I guess, some of the more maybe intricate parts of American made and things done in the name of patriotism. Norman Osborn as
right, the Iron
Iron
Patriot. Yep.
Patriot. It's a good story. It's a good action figure.
Right.
I remember the first
You
one that
should
was
talk
made.
about
It's
that
not the
while I eat
best.
this peanut butter cup.
Enjoy. I remember the first one that was made. It came out in, I believe it was the Toy Biz, when Toy Biz still had the line. It was like kind of towards the end. Was it towards the end of Toy Biz or right when Hasbro took it back? But he
I
was
think
he
it's
was
when
like,
Hasbro took it back because the Dark Avengers started
yes.
right at that time.
And it was that kind of basic Iron Man repaint. But I like that now that we have evolved with the way that the Iron Man armor looks, and being able to get a little bit more detailing into it, the more current versions of Iron Patriot look awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I think the most recent one has a swappable head, doesn't he? Where you can just put Norman Osborn's
Yep.
head on there, and it's such
Why
a
would you do that?
it's a little it's kind of a shame that they weren't able to work that into the MCU, but with the whole stuff with Spider-Man and whatnot. But
Right.
that I like the idea in the world of comics, masquerading as I'm your American hero. I love my country and whatever. And to a certain extent, it's true, but it was really just masking all of the various things that he wanted to do,
It
which
was marketing And we're seeing that now,
Mhm,
like, all over the place.
mhm.
It was just his marketing plan in order to win people over.
And I guess we can get a little bit maybe a little bit darker than that. Even like pre Iron Patriot with characters like Deathlock, who were
Yes,
created by the U.S. government, meant to go in and do wet work ops, not splashed in the red, white, and blue because you don't want them identified as part of an American operation. But
right.
he's an interesting character, and I wish that Hasbro would take another swing at that figure because the Toy Biz one had potential and it got a lot of the detailing right, just way overly jointed, as was the normal
Right.
problem.
And you always had those kind of, and I'm not using the word deep state as if that's something that is real, but like in the comic books, the
Mhm.
deep state, you had the Amanda Wallers, you
Yeah.
had, Lex
Yes.
Luthor when he became president, and those kind of that darkness in the name of the US. And that begets characters
Mhm.
like US Agent and Peacemaker, who
Yeah.
just whose speech sounds right, but who believe that the end justifies the means,
Yes.
and that may not be exactly what our country wants to build a reputation of.
But speaking of Amanda Waller, that's almost like Granny Goodness. When are we getting a proper Amanda Waller? And I maybe I'm in the minority here. I hate that they turned her into just a random skinny woman, just your
Well,
average.
but that the actress was perfectly cast. Other
Oh no,
than
the
that, she was
I
perfect.
the actress was fine, and I don't have a problem with that. But this gets to part of what we've talked about before, how the movies are now influencing the comics, which
Right.
in a way is unfortunate because for a long time, and even in like Justice League Unlimited, in the
Yeah.
animated series, Amanda Waller has always been a large black woman, and that was like that's what she looked like, but it was also maybe like the least of her characteristics. She was a dangerous person, and
Right.
I'm disappointed that that was taken away from her to make her look just like any other rando person.
Right.
I wish that that had been left alone. But I also want a
There.
figure of her. Was there one in
Right.
Justice League
Other.
Unlimited?
Yes, we did. We did get a figure
There
of her.
was
I'm
one.
surprised we didn't get a movie one from
Mhm.
Suicide Squad. We didn't get that, which surprised me. But people like Amanda Waller who think they're doing the right thing to protect the country, and they're actually committing crimes.
Mhm.
That brings about, a peacemaker who believes that he has to use that excessive force in
Yeah.
order to save America. And then when you read about him, the TV series has sort of softened him a little bit,
Yeah.
or they're beginning to anyway. They're starting to give him the Deadpool treatment, which I didn't like.
Mhm.
But when you read his character pre-movie, you're like, this guy's a nutbag.
Yeah.
But he would always justify it as, I could do what I want because I'm doing it in the name of the government. And
Yeah.
you sort of had that with US Agent as well, when he took over
Mhm.
for Cap and then became way too
Yes.
violent.
Yes. The U.S. agent stories are always really good. I like that, especially depending on who's writing them. And of course, every time you see a Captain America figure, the immediate question is, well, when are we getting a U.S. agent out of this? Because
Right. Yeah. And
I'm still
they've done some good ones recently.
yeah, I'm still kind of waiting for the. I don't remember offhand if he's ever had kind of that scale armor that Cap had, but I would like a version of
He did.
the
Yeah.
Ultimate
And
Cap
they've made him.
in those
Mhm.
colors. Because we have one where he's a little bit more of the smooth. And I do like that he started introducing a little bit of a few minor differences into the figure
Right.
or into the character. But yeah, give me like that scale armor because it's such a nice detail. The texturing is so good. I would like to see that version as
Right.
U.S. Agent.
And I like every line sort of gets that character. And then you
Mhm.
wonder, that's, just wrapped in a flag. Like
Mhm.
Image had the Super Patriot
Oh yeah.
cyborgy guy.
Mhm.
And he went off the deep end for a while
Mhm.
because he was susceptible to other influences because of his cybernetic parts. They were hacking
Yeah.
him and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
But every
That's
line sort of has that. And then when you see it, you open that first comic, like that Super Patriot character, and you're like, okay, so which Patriot is he going to be? Is he going to
yeah.
be Captain America, or is he going to be U.S. Agent? And
Yeah.
then when they sort of treat it where this person could go either way depending
Mhm.
upon, his influences, where the government's going. I always loved when Cap became the bad guy, not the Hydra
Mhm.
Cap,
Yeah.
but like the Cap that had to go into hiding because he didn't agree with the government. And the
Yep.
fact that when Captain America was killed, he was killed on the steps of our justice system.
Mhm.
America dying on the steps of our justice system it was just beautiful.
Yeah.
A beautiful commentary out of the time because we
Yeah.
were, what we were doing. And it was just beautiful commentary.
I I like that once that happened, you immediately needed a replacement for Captain America. And in
Right.
doing that, you were taking characters that normally, everyone has their own unique look, but then you take someone like Winter Soldier who now has to become Captain America.
Right.
And he
I
got that
liked that
new,
story. I liked
yeah,
him as Cap.
I like the new look that he got because he wasn't it
He was
wasn't like
shiny.
the bright, yeah, it wasn't like the bright red, white, and blue, but it was still like it was a little bit more
It was a
muted.
lot of
And it was,
black.
yeah,
Yeah.
I like that redesign. And I know that there for a long time there's a lot of griping about the Bucky Cap body that Hasbro used for probably way too long. So I am glad that they kind of updated
Yeah.
and moved away from that. But that design at the time was really good, and it was a really good figure when they finally made him. But I like that
The
they.
Diamond Select did a really good one.
Oh,
The
that's
Diamond
true.
Select one was really well done.
I really wish the Diamond Select would crank out more figures because in their scale, and they scale well with each other. Or if you just happen to need someone to really, really kind of loom over other characters, like a Hulk or
Yeah.
Titanium Man, like those fit great if you need just a bigger to scale. But I wish that they would crank out more. I know that they're a little bit higher end, so they're not going to do
Right.
a wave of
Yeah, but
six
they're
like
they're well
Hasbro does.
priced.
But
I mean, Marvel
yes,
Legends are catching up to them in price.
yes.
And it's time to sign off, my friend.
Oh my lord, it really is! Everyone, thank you for joining us on an episode of Two Guys Talking Toys. If you like what you've seen, like and subscribe to the channel. Get a hold of us on Twitter and Gmail. Our handle is Two Guys Talking Toys. That is the number 2, no G after the talking. Real quick, do you have a favorite Patriot character you'd like to see?
Oh, no, I don't know off the top of my head.
Mine is American
George M.
Kaiju.
Cohen. Yes.
Mine is American Kaiju to a HasLab for American Kaiju, the band named Todd Ziller, who turns into a giant monster that yells USA.